question of who gets to own land after it's been redistributed has collapsed relations between the African National Congress and the economic freedom fighters, who believe that putting the state as custodian of land amounts to nationalization. This may lead to a delay in submission to Parliament of the bill to amend Section 25 of the Constitution on land reform. Joining us to explain the challenges posed by such a delay is the National Coordinator of the Alliance for Rural Democracy, Ms. Constance Mogale. A very good afternoon to you, Ms. Mogale. Good to have you with us on the Daytime Update today. Talk to us about this issue of contention between the EFF and the African National Congress. How big of an issue is it? Why does this detail matter?
So for us, it is a very big disappointment because we were excited when the two major parties were voting together to advance land reform in South Africa to address the few challenges and ownership of land in the country. So our confirmation is that it is only about politicking. The ANC and EFF is never serious about the kind of transformation we want to see, the kind of change we want to see. We, as the Alliance for Rural Democracy and the Land Access Movement of South Africa, we were against the amendment of the Constitution for the reasons of timing, and the delay. Ever since 2015, we have been debating this. Now they are collapsing. They are arguing against each other, and we see it as it's about their ego, because they could have done some processes in terms of what Kgalema Motlante's high-level panel has recommended on the Redistribution Act framework and amending Section 25, implementing Section 25 rather than amending. It would have been a parallel process. Right now, we are sitting with outstanding land claims that are yet to be finalized by the Commission. Why are they not finalizing those land claims? If you look at the statistics, Mpumalanga is the highest rate. There's higher outstanding land claims that is yet to be finalized, followed by Limpopo and the other provinces. So if they could accelerate the finalization of the land claims that were lodged according to the Restitution of Land Right Act, and while they are still deciding whether they want to amend and open up the pre-1913, they could do something. There is also the Land Court Bill, which is under discussion, and the expropriation of land appropriation bill, which is under discussion. Let them finalize those ones and make sure that there is a movement, there is a change. Even if it is in a slow place, there is something that they do. But what they do is argue among themselves, worry about their own egos, about who initiated this and who didn't initiate this. And looking at them, it is very disappointing.
I must say, Ms. Mogale, that the chair of the ad hoc committee, Ndate Mathole Motshekga, said that this process is not necessarily going to be delayed, in the sense that it's already out for public comment. So the public is able to comment on this, and the public has been given 3 weeks in order to come back with their particular comments regarding this particular bill. But the problem here is going to arise when it needs to be passed in Parliament, as in who will vote for it and who will not, in the current state that it's in right now. But as the Alliance for Rural Democracy, what do you believe will serve the people of the country better? That land is owned by the government, thus a nationalization process, or that land is owned by individuals? What is your comment or your view on that?
So we have no definite answers, really, because right now inside our forums we are debating the kind of tenure that we want for our people. We don't believe in the individual titling, because we believe that it is the World Bank stance of driving their own project, and it is not going to benefit people. We know that our customary land rights is owned communally. They are inherited communally, and there's power dynamics within and amongst the families and the communities. Therefore, individual titling is not a solution. And we want a range of options where people can choose what kind of tenure they want. We also don't believe in nationalization because of, and I mean, we have seen that models that we thought were going to benefit the people, like the Ingonyama Trust Board, for example, have disappointed us, where land rights are monopolized to an individual, and the kind of leadership institutions that we have are disappointing from government, from parliament itself, and we don't know what kind of option. And we are saying the solution is not going to be from parliament, it's going to be from below. We need to create platforms of discussions where people can say to us what kind of other tenure options can be advocated for or in terms of the law, so that we encompass and protect the rights of the vulnerable groups like the orphans, the women, and the children, and not monopolize title into individualization.
Post the land being granted to landowners or granted to the people who are going to be working on the land, what do you believe are the structures that really need to be in place to ensure that there is a legitimate agrarian reform and an agrarian transformation, that those who get access to the land are able to work the land profitably and also for generations to come?
So the argument from the Program for Land and Agrarian Studies and other studies and other submissions that were made on expropriation of land rights, of land without compensation, was that we need to do a mapping of the land needs, the different land needs that are in our country. Who needs land and for what? So that we are able to categorize and satisfy the land needs, and not just say we redistribute farms to people who are not necessarily farmers, or we redistribute small land for people who need to survive on the land for their livelihoods. So it would be better to not do shortcuts and make sure that as civil society and government, the hand and gloves together, we do that feasibility study to check what kind of land is needed for what. Other people need land for housing and for accommodation because they work somewhere, and there's issue of location of where the land is very key, because you cannot give a housing to a person who's working 100 kilometers away. So it perpetuates tenancy and it perpetuates poverty. The other issue is you could look at where land is far away from people, but they need to relocate so that they can do viable livelihoods. We need to look at what kind of full settlement will be needed for people to resettle in a way that will not drown them into debt, but in a way that they will be able to navigate themselves and make sure that there's a livelihood, that they can make use of the land. So there is so many questions that need to be answered, and it is not as simple, because and that is why dialogues and debates are very important, to make sure that we know where our people who need land for accommodation, who need land for grazing, who need land for what, so that we are able to make sure that we the land is redistributed in an equitable and acceptable way.
Yes. Constance Mogale, thank you very much for your insight. Without a doubt, I do know and assume that you will be contributing and making comments on that amended bill, which is out for public comments for a 3-week period. That's Constance Mogale, the National Coordinator of Alliance for Rural Democracy.